All right. So you know how earlier I was saying that the plants, they really, really wanted me to let you guys know that they're sentient and aware. They actually advised me to go pick up a article online and to put it in one of the slides. In this slide, it says mimosa plants have long-term memory. They can learn. That's what biologists say. Um, they've been able to test learned behavioral responses in animals, and they've successfully re-demonstrated that in the Mimosa pudica, which is native to South America, right? So, oh, you have to excuse the noise outside. There's someone going a bit mad on their speakerphone. So I think it's really cute and funny and sweet and so nice that they are so adamant to get this message across, you know, that they are sentient, that they are alive, that they are intelligent. So it's essential if you're working with plants to actually be working with meditation. Okay. How many of you guys are working with meditation and plants? How many of you guys are working just with meditation daily? It's super, super important, because the meditation, it's synchronizing the left and right brain hemispheres. It's creating a certain kind of cohesion, a certain balancing point. You know, when you think of a person on one of those tight ropes and there's certain balance that they achieve, right? And that's what happens to your brain as you start to entrain it into meditative practices. And you start to retrieve information from your subconscious. And what did I share earlier? That your spiritual connection is actually in your subconscious. So in order to really connect with your spiritual essence, you also have to connect with this subconscious part of you. So your subconscious is the spiritual connection, it's your remembrance, it's parts of yourself you might not be accessing day to day. And it was buried there, as my guides had shared with me, so that humans would be able to find it in their own natural evolution as they rose in their awareness. I think that's really amazing. That kind of blew my mind when they shared that with me. Maybe it's connecting some dots for you guys. Let us know in the comments. So when one is working on the subconscious level, one is really working with this greater stability and connection. So hypnotherapy is a great way for working more in depth with your subconscious, as is NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, and meditation. Also doing things that are very creative. How many of you are creative artists? How many of you are creating art every day as a neural pathway, as a groove in your energy, right? Because all these things are helping you to access your subconscious. The more you access your subconscious, the more you're going to access ET contact as well. It starts to become like an entrainment, a repetition. Your mind and the neural pathways start to get used to these new ways and start creating these new little bits of direction going out in all these different ways, and make it all more accessible to you, okay? So it's also knowing that you've played the villain in many lifetimes as well as the hero. I know some of you out there like to think that you've only been an angel in a past life, but it's simply not so. It's simply not so. I think this can be a wound or a shadow for light workers, where we like to think that we're holier than, and you know, we just can't imagine that we were a murderer in our previous lifetime or something like that. And so the medicine brings this up as a theme, that you've played these different roles, that you've been the hero as well as the villain, right? Because when we work with medicine, we are working with the shadow. The medicine, she's so fierce. I say that the medicine is a bit of a paradox. So she is softly fierce or fiercely soft. You know, she's both and neither and beyond. And the medicine helps us to face our fears, to really confront those parts of us we're suppressing. Like, we don't want people to see that we're, lonely or confused or depressed, or there's all these things, isn't there? Like, if we're very honest, there's a mask that we wear in society, right? And the medicine just brings all of that bullshit down, okay, to the base level. To where we can relate from heart consciousness. Now, what is reflective of heart consciousness? Vulnerability, right? Vulnerability, authenticity, transparency. These are the new frequencies for the new earth that the plant consciousness is helping us to usher in and facilitate. So like I put on this slide here, light workers often have the biggest shadows. A lot of light workers don't know what it is to work with the shadow, but once you make peace with the shadow, once you start to acknowledge the parts of yourself that you're criticizing, you're judging, and then you're projecting them onto another person, because that's how projection works, right? Anything that really gets your knickers in a right twist is showing you what's going on over here, right? This is super important because this is happening a lot. Has anyone noticed people are losing their beep right now? Everyone's getting very impulsive and reactive, right? Because these frequencies are just coming to the earth like bam, 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 bam. And they're just shaking everything up that is not in resonance with this high frequency. So all the shadow is coming to the surface, disclosure is happening, transparency. And so when you start to create a spaciousness for this shadow, you're like, hey, shadow, how's it going? You give it a big hug, you start to alchemize the shadow, you start to return through alchemy, you return to this source consciousness. That is what is returning in consciousness, this certain alchemy, this unity consciousness, right? And so then the shadow becomes an ally and a friend by your side. So for instance, you might have the unworthy shadow. Now this shadow is absolutely huge. I had to just come in for maximum effect there. It's a massive shadow in humanity, shall we say. The unworthy shadow. Now, once you start to dialogue with this unworthy shadow, once you start to say, hey shadow, what message do you have for me? And you start listening, you might get a message that says, well, you need to take care of my needs better. I don't feel like I'm looked after. I don't feel like I'm valued. I don't feel like I'm celebrated. I don't feel like I'm heard. I don't feel like I'm seen. I don't feel like I'm living my mission. You get what I mean? The shadow is actually a gift, is God's gift to you. This shadow has a gift to you, a message, but most people are not listening to the shadow. They're just like, oh, go away, you pesky thing, or they just want to convey their love and light. I know, because I used to be one of those people. I raised my hand. I used to always be like a moth to a flame, you see. But when I started working with medicine, it started to show me that the universe is not just about light, There's many different shades. There's darkness. Darkness also serves a certain purpose. It serves as a certain catalyst for the expansion of consciousness. We forget that. And you know what? To be quite frank, I'll let you all in on a secret here. In my other lifetimes, I've lived in the most amazing realms that you can imagine, with so much light, so much unconditional love. It actually feels like a never-ending orgasm. I know that sounds funny, but that is my personal experience. I have interfaced with very high realms where it actually feels orgasmic non-stop, right? It's just such an amazing feeling. Anyone else ever experienced that? I call that source consciousness, actually. But guess what? It gets boring. I know it sounds crazy, but it gets boring, doesn't it? Because if you're in that eternal blissful state forever, you naturally at one point creation got very curious and said, what like, is this all there is? Like, this one infinite unconditional note in it, well, I want to experience something different, you know. And so that's how this polarity has kind of come into our reality. And polarity is something beautiful. Like when you think of the night sky, the darkness is needed so that it can hold the stars, right, in the night sky. The indigenous people have a different connection with darkness and shadow. We're not afraid of it, okay? When you give your fear to the shadow and the darkness, you give your power. We simply see it as part of creation, as part of this reality. We don't give it more attention than what it needs or deserves. We respect it too. Now, this is a little bit, might trigger some people. Some people might say, what do you mean? You respect the darkness? Are you crazy? There's demons out there, right? But it's not that kind of respect. It's more meeting with your fear and the shadow and the darkness on an equal footing. This is the component that is missing for a lot of people, and this is what leads to being attacked, you see. You're not meeting the fear as your mutual. You're not meeting the shadow as on the same level as you, not beneath you, not above you. And when you do that, you invite yourself to be attacked. Okay, it's the number one reason. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit towards the end. We got about half an hour left. I'm going to touch upon that towards the end too. So let's go to this next piece here. Oh yeah, this, I just want to quickly show you guys where I live too here. It's very magical little place that I live in the Cusco region of the high Andes of Peru. Actually, this image normally is brighter, but for some reason it's come out a little bit duller. I'm overlooking Cusco. Now, what do you notice about that image when you look at it? Because when I look at it, it kind of looks very dreamlike, right? It's got this quality of beauty and magic. And so this is also an indication that you're getting into touch, getting into alignment with your vision for being here, when you're actually starting to see the external reflection change around you. See, most people are getting stuck in their mental processes. They're telling themselves, I already know this. I know about manifestation. I know how to work with plants. I know about aliens. I know this. I know that. I know this, blah, 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 blah. So when you say, I know, you limit, you know, the reflection from changing, because the reflection actually invites you into humility. Your reflection is showing you what you really believe. Now, I've started to get into greater soul integrity with my vision. Like I'm doing this lovely workshop today, right? I'm embodying that. I'm bringing my guides through, which kind of felt a little bit scary. It's the first time I've done it in a online workshop, right? So I'm trying to lead by example for all of you watching. This is true embodiment when the reflection changes to meet the vision inside. If the reflection is not congruent with what's inside, you're not in soul integrity. Okay, there's a mismatch. You would be amazed at how many people are resistant to me sharing this with them because they know it's true. And the guy outside agrees with me too, who's speaking through the big mic. So humility is very important when we are working with plant consciousness and when we are expanding our consciousness in any format or shape. But humility is a piece that is missing for a lot of people. Always look to your reflection. My relationships are lack of, my friendships are lack of, my job, my mission, my purpose, clarity on my mission and purpose are lack of. This all shows you humility. Humble yourself. Oh my God, I don't actually know what I say. Okay, well, let me learn. Let me be humble. Let me open up to. This humility is what allows you connection with the star beings. I call it reverence. It's a certain reverence where you just say, universe, God, extraterrestrial family, just show me. Just show me what I need to be shown. I'm humbled to your wisdom and your knowledge. This is what I see missing for a lot of starseeds. Too much in I know consciousness, when you are each being invited into the Zen mind, into the beginner's mind. As you go into that humility, guess what? New worlds unravel themselves to you. You start having contact with light beings. I've had dreams, they come to you in dreams too, right? So I have dreams where I'm putting my hands on these beings' shoulders. I'm giving them healing and they're giving me healing. One of these beings had blue skin and their eyes were completely white and they had silver hair. You know, all these experiences start to really open up to you as you go into this, this humility piece. This is the Sacred Valley. I wanted to get in integrity with my soul blueprint, my purpose and vision, by living in a part of the world that reflected magic and wonder. And that's what I do now. I live in this amazing part of the world. You can actually see a snake in the mountain if you go towards the end of the picture, and a tortoise too. I don't know if you can see that in the distance. It's so wonderful. The mountains here are literally alive, sentient, amazing beings, just like the plants are, you know. This is also part of where I live here. So also the guides talk a lot about love is only real when we share love, okay? Because, you know, a lot of the time we get overly focused in our own processes and we get kind of distracted and sidetracked. But it's knowing that in this time with this international lockdown, we're each being invited to share our love. Now, what does that mean? It doesn't mean you, you know, become a hippie and you have to literally share your love or anything like that. But it means that you get into greater service. You know, as an example, like I'm giving this workshop today, or videos I make on my Facebook Live, or these different things, because I don't want it to just be me doing these things, because I know some of you watching here are, that's part of your journey, that's part of your next soul evolution. And as you work with these plant technologies, it can, in a sense, accelerate your soul's journey like nothing, like a skyrocket. But a lot of people just, they're very kind of whimsical with plants. They're not respecting them. And those people that are whimsical, they're not going to have the reflections around them change. Like I was showing you, that slide of me living in this amazing place is reflective of my own soul integrity, you see. And it's knowing that I had difficult conditions to get me here. It didn't happen by magic, but I had to apprentice under spiritual principles. And these are principles I share with my clients from around the world in these sessions that I do, soul blueprint sessions. So like we were saying, to work effectively with plant technology, please have a daily meditation practice. Please let me know if you're a meditator. Do you meditate at a certain time? Do you get up at a certain time? Do you go to sleep at a certain time? I get up between 4 and 5 a.m. in the morning, and I go to bed at 8 or 9 o'clock at night. So if I get up early, I have to go to bed earlier. And it's just amazing to rise with the sun, to get into more of this natural circadian rhythm. This is how we used to live in previous cycles. We actually rose with the sun. We would have naps throughout the day, you know, siestas, whatever you want to call them. But now society lives in such a kind of out of harmony way. And that's also why this virus had to happen in a sense, so that it gets us, you know, kick-started back into this alignment. So generally speaking, when you're bringing together the left and the right hemispheres through meditation, you're basically bringing together your logic and your intuition. Ideally, that's what we want to have, because, you know, humanity's greatest philosophers and thinkers and innovators have been people who work with both hemispheres. And I feel that the medicine does that too. The medicine is bringing together these different components of you, okay? So I did want to do a quick little breath exercise with all of you too, as a tool that you can take away from this talk today. So I invite everyone to just close their eyes and take a few deep breaths in and out through the nose. I know a lot of information has been shared, so just letting all that settle a bit too. And so you're breathing in and you're breathing out. As you breathe out, you count 1. Then you breathe in. And then as you breathe out again, you count 2. And then you take another deep breath in. And then as you breathe out, you count 3 and you continue to 5, okay? This is actually a Zen practice because a lot of people are going to be very unfocused at this time. And you can go into ceremony not being focused and not having a meditation practice, but you won't be able to retain the memory of the experience and have that degree of self-mastery in the journey. Because one who is in that self-mastery, you can navigate different realms that you go into when you work with plants. You can actually, I can do this. This is what shamans and medicine men and women, real medicine men and women can do. We navigate where we want to go. When something gets overwhelming, we're able to pull it back. You can start to work with the medicine, you see, and meditation actually helps you do that. And this is a very simple technique that you can do when you're feeling unfocused. I recommend you do it for 10 minutes. And you're just simply counting to 5 each time. And some people actually end up counting beyond 5. They end up going to like 98 or something, which is showing that they're not focused. This is like a focus exercise, very simple, but you'd be surprised how many people can't do it or won't do it consistently. You know, I really encourage many of you to look into Zen. If you've not looked into Zen Buddhism, in another lifetime, I actually lived as a Zen Japanese monk. That's why I share about Zen, because it's part of my blueprint, part of one of the lifetimes that I lived, just as many of you might have lived in different cultures and had different roles that you now bring through into this incarnation too. So when you're ready, you can also open your eyes and we can continue. So I also want to talk about strengthening the connection with your guides. It's really through brain entrainment. And so brain entrainment is a method to stimulate the brain into entering specific states of consciousness through a pulsing sound, light, or some kind of electromagnetic field. For instance, I listen to binaural beats during meditation. Binaural beats, B-I-N-A-U-R-A-L. And I've noticed a massive difference. I've noticed more lucidity in my dreams, more focus, better lucidity with plant work. So I really advise many of you to look into that, because there's certain different kinds of brain waves. You know, there's delta, theta, and alpha. And to have ET contact, you really want to be in this theta state, which is an in-between state of consciousness, okay? So you can also do some of that research in your own time after the call too, because, you know, we have a limited time on the call. Let me just go back to the slides here. I'm just going to whiz through them, and then we're going to get through some questions, because I can see quite a lot of comments down there too. So let's go to let's go to this one and share screen. Okay, so quickly talking about the heart center, super important. You know, because the heart center, yana, yana, eya, 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 you, eyo, ah. I bet you didn't expect me to do that, huh? And that's what the heart center does. The heart center is spontaneous, it's playful, right? It's a certain intelligence, and it's also known as anahata in Sanskrit. It's also known as the upper diamond. I was shown that it's the upper diamond from my guides, and also I studied in China. I studied Qigong, and they talk about upper diamond and lower diamond, these different centers that collect energy. And this anahata is actually closed down in a lot of people, and you really need it to be open and active. And there's different ways of doing that, like moving more into this spontaneous energy, singing, moving your body, being creative, doing things that stretch you. This is a time to really go into your discomfort more. It's not a time to play small or to hide. It is a time to experiment, do things you haven't done before, go beyond your capacities, And so if this heart center is not open, it's not going to help you. It's not going to lead to anywhere good, shall we say, because people whose heart centers are not open and active, they can start connecting with some of these lower vibrating energies, and we don't really want that. This is an image that gives you an idea of the frequency that my guides emit. So wonderful, a lot of rainbows, a lot of light and sacred geometric forms. And so these beings, they operate as a hive consciousness, and it's through the creative endeavors that one starts to really touch the essence of our own capacities. So all of you, go get creative after this call. This is actually a channeled piece of work by my friend Bashta. She connected with my guides, and they presented themselves as this form. Now remember, my guides are actually non-physical beings, but they can take on any form they desire. They're more like those little points of light that you see behind this beautiful lady, but they chose to take on the form of a Black woman because of the racial injustice that happens sometimes on the earth. And even within the ufology and alien field, there can be a lack of representation of beings that have different color skin, And so that's why they chose. I asked them later, why did you choose that beautiful form? And if you look at her face, you can actually see a heart in there too, which is really amazing. So earlier I was saying these beings, they are from Sirius, they are 8th density. Their name Aria. It means a long accompanied song for a solo voice, typically one in an opera or oratorio. Aria also means lioness, I believe, in Hebrew, and a number of other things, which is super fascinating because these group of beings, some of them actually are lion beings. They're actually a group of different kinds of beings. So it's no accident that they chose this name. So this was a message that they shared, and I think it is a message relevant to many watching. Your mission is to prepare humanity for extraterrestrial contact. This is a message that came through very strong when working with the plants, to plant seeds in the collective, to facilitate the merging of two worlds and paradigms, the reunification of cosmic or star consciousness with human consciousness. Anyone excited about that? I know I am. Whoop. So sometimes I speak star or light language. E yanata chu e su a you e yukua e ma ye ya you. You see, it just comes very spontaneous from the heart. No thinking is involved. This is the expanded state of consciousness, right? And this language is coming back for a lot of people. They always say to me that selfless collaboration is key to the success of a rapidly evolving planet. So they're saying that many of us are being called on to leave our lovable egos at the doorstep. And also connecting with a vision, it really heals your life. That is what these medicines do. Vision is purpose, purpose is vision. I invite you to write that down somewhere. You can see it because, vision is not something that is just created out of thin air, right? You create it when you get intentional, when you say that you want to move beyond your discomfort. The time we're going into is that you must be comfortable in your discomfort consistently. That is how I have moved forward in exponential ways. It's not going to happen by playing it safe and doing the same thing, right? And so it's become more popular to do the plant medicine and to connect with the mother ayahuasca, because she can give you a vision and it is your responsibility to do something with that vision.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Neil with Portal to Ascension, and I just wanted to take a moment really quick and show you the Portal to Ascension platform. The presentation or the documentary that you just watched was one of our many productions that I've done over the years, created well over 1,000 workshops, events, conferences, retreats, webinars, and this is how our website works. If you want to go ahead and receive not only access to this presentation, but hundreds of other presentations that we have available for you right now for free. You can go to our website, you enter your name right here, you email right here, click sign up. Pretty soon we're going to be launching a new website, but the procedure is pretty much the same. You know, your name, email, sign up. Once you do that, you're going to get an email with your username and a temporary password. You then click login. Once you log in, you're going to see the whole entire backend laid out with all the webinars and presentations for you. Not only can you start typing by speaker name, topic, category, whatever you want, even letter, but you can scroll down this list here and sort by category. And I'm not going to read these off to you, but you can take a look. We have a lot of different topics: UFO disclosure, true world history, spiritual development, science, sacred geometry, and so much more. And then you can also search by speaker, which we have here alphabetically, or you can just browse the whole entire thing here and take a look at all these presentations. You are able to, if you can take a look up the top corner here, you're able to add to your watch list to watch these back anytime you want. So you can add to your watch list, it'll be put there. When you come back into the platform, you can continue watching where you left off. There's a documentaries tab, there's an interviews tab, and this is how the individual event page will look. So right now, you can go to the website, portaltoascension.org, put in your name and email, sign up. You'll get access to what you just watched, and there's so much more footage. There's free footage being added weekly. So really, this is a one-stop shop for consciousness, and there's always new valid content for you that is relevant for the times that we're currently in, where we're not only dissecting and delving deep into the ancient past, but also creating information that will empower us for the future to come. And here is an example of one of the event pages. This one's on Billy Carson, Quantum Macabre Manifestation. You can view it right there, description, speaker image, that will also go to his bio, and then also suggested webinars that you can tune into as well. And then of course, please do leave a comment and leave us feedback. So there you go, guys. That's our back end, and that's how Portal to Ascension works. Go ahead, go to the website right now, portaltoascension.org. Enter your name, email, sign up, take a look at the site, let us know what you think, and enjoy.